Welcome to the March 3rd Jail and Zones production user call. We have Jan, Hazem, Rod, Philip, and myself, Michael, so far, and there were some interesting links this week, many of them covered by Vermaden. And right off the bat, there is a NetBSD Jail. That's a super fancy website. And has anyone had a chance to look at this? The goal is to replicate Linux-style container ecosystem, but provide model with minimal dependencies. So that is something to watch, and hopefully we get some NetBSD folks on the call. Parthenope, I will go with. Why did this interest me? This is an OS installer for FreeBSD.
This is the new graphical front end, I think.
So that's a graphical one. Okay, let's look at the blog post and
Or the
all.
text user interface at least. Slides from your BSD coin, that is.
Yes, that's a great point you got right there. Oh, Alfonso's. Yes, indeed. So uh, feel free to take a look at that because it may assist with jail creation. Boom. There's the EuroBSD description with slides. So I will allow the reader to dive into that. Uh, I don't know if this will mesh with your networking questions, Hazem, but this came across my desk. Someone was very happy with VLANs on the new bridge. So, Jan, any thoughts on this? Have you seen this post?
I've updated my lab machine to use the new FreeBSD 15 VLAN filtering bridge,
Yes.
and it works. And one of the nice things about it is that now you basically, once the bridge is VLAN there, it treats every frame passing through the bridge as VLAN tag. If you want to have untagged frames going in and out your member interfaces, you just set a PVID basically, so a default VLAN ID for the port. And then every untagged frame on that port is treated as belonging to that VLAN with default old priority. Okay. The That means that you now put your IP address configuration preferably on bridge 0.1 or whatever you want to be your default bridge and default VLAN ID. So now you have split up the bridge into the bridge and the interface where the IP address belongs on. It's not completely cleaned up, but it's better than what we had before. And it could be very useful because now you can have tag member interfaces on a single bridge. So if you add a tab interface to the bridge, you can now have multiple VLANs, for example, on a Beehive guest without having to have one tab per or demultiplexing them all and so on. So it's now a lot easier to do what you expect to be able to do, which is basically have FreeBSD behave like a managed VLAN aware switch.
Cool. Did I quote you correctly with you can have a tag member and have tagged member interfaces on a single bridge?
Uh, yes, you can, but
No. Then what is it you
that's not
said?
the important change.
Yeah, I was
You
just
could have had that
quoting you.
before, but now you can
Okay.
filter the tag. And
Can
yeah, just delete that line. It
have
doesn't.
filter VLAN tags. Cool. Thank
Uh,
you.
yeah.
Rockhopper. The name alone is quite good. Beltalada. So that was a meta package generator. We've had quite few discussions about meta packages for, say, apps in jails. So here is this thing. And what's interesting is they've aimed for cross-platform. So it's very Dockery, yet to their credit, they're thinking cross-platform, and I suppose the FreeBSD one would need FreeBSD Docker. So I will leave that to the reader. And finally, as we've looked at various, be it security mechanisms and escalations and you name it, I was pleased to see this list of all the options. And some of them are like, hey, a front end to mandatory access controls, MDO. I had never heard of that.
It's
Uh,
in base.
no kidding, I've never heard of that, and it's in base. So that's not getting much attention and not crossing my desk until today. So maybe all the cool kids use these, but I'm not a cool kid. Duaz, I've definitely heard of. But so I like how this was laid out. Yes, of course, sudo. I bet there's even a book about sudo. There was even a recent poll. Is it sudo or
Wrong.
sudo? Sudo RS in Rust. Oh yeah. Uh, do so. Oh boy. Okay. I wrote it myself. Not shared it yet. Okay. 40 lines of C code. So he's throwing his own horse in the race, whatever metaphor you want. Interesting. pfexec, run zero. Okay, well, I like the fact that he's done a survey. Surveys are awesome. Anything over here I care about or no? QBSD from a previous call, if interested, there's a Cubes FreeBSD hybrid, I suppose. So moving on. Uh we've already touched on networking. So Hazem, you have some jail and networking questions.
Yeah, let me just set my environment up and just get back to you.
You're kind of muffled today.
One second, I'm just gonna
Yep.
fix my mic.
Yeah, no worries. Perfect. Any other topics inspired while waiting on Hazen? Do, do. Rock copper. Cross platform. Give that a little context there. Hope that's vaguely accurate. Um, Jan, is there any new performance overhead on the new bridge code, or is it transparent, or no better, no worse?
Should be negligible overhead compared to the normal bridge code path.
Awesome.
The data structures are tiny because you only have to index 12 bits.
Okay, fantastic. Ah,
Oh,
hello.
yeah. Am I audible now?
You are definitely better. Thank you for
Okay.
whatever buttons you pushed.
So I think I'll share my screen.
Sure, I will stop my share.
Okay, are we good?
We are good. And yeah, if you need the console on the left, do leave it open. If not, maybe cover it with the browser.
No,
More
okay.
as you wish.
Okay.
Cool.
So we have a DNS mask running on the host, and this VM here works fine with SLAAC addresses. So you can see that this is an SLAAC address. And DHCP works fine on both VMs and jails. So if I go back here into this jail here, so you can see that I get, oh, I just got,
Yeah, every time you call in, it suddenly starts working. So
it's magic, yes.
yeah, I love that.
But
That's
regardless,
awesome.
does this make sense? Like, I set it up within the jail, and the only thing I was missing was this thing, but
Um,
I added in that later. But during startup, it just never works. Like, let me
there's
try.
one problem you have,
Yeah.
and that is that by default, FreeBSD will do a duplicate address detection on IPv6 interfaces, which
Mm-hmm.
takes about 3 seconds.
Okay.
So if you bring the interface up, it will be in a um, intermediate state where it knows which IP address it would like to claim on the network after it has seen the router advertisement, but
Mm-hmm.
is waiting for anyone on the network to veto that claim. You probably won't ever encounter that in a real world network where there's nothing going badly wrong and there are no attackers. But the problem is that now your interface is up and the RC.D scripts continue and services cannot yet bind to the address. So unless you bind them to the any address, they will just later be unavailable. So if some service just enumerates all valid IPv6 addresses and binds to all of them, as some of them do, the tentative addresses are skipped. So you may want to set the no_DAD, so no dat,
Onto the ifconfig interface?
on the ifconfig interface name _IPv6.
Okay. Is it no DAD like this?
Yes, like that.
Okay.
So no
So what this does is this
duplicate
disables
address
the
detection.
duplicate address detection, right?
Yes, that disables duplicate address detection and makes the IP addresses immediately usable.
Okay. Now I have a follow-up question. Like, I can understand why this would be the case, like for default in IPv4, because the chances of having conflicts are really high. But is this like a sysctl we could disable maybe?
For what?
Like, can I just say,
I
okay,
mean,
no duplicate address detection on this
I
interface
don't know if
ever?
there's a sudo to switch to toggle the default.
Uh-huh.
You can just do it as part of your
Okay, while
IPv6
I'm setting up the
configuration.
interface, I could just do it like this everywhere, like everywhere I
Yeah,
want
you
to.
will have to automate that.
Okay, got it,
Just add
makes
it
sense.
to your automation.
Uh-huh.
Or the other ugly workaround is a 4-second sleep timer.
Uh-huh. I think I did
Because
that
it's
already for DNS mask, because DNS mask had the same issue where it would start working with IPv4 really, really quickly. But then since IPv6 isn't available yet, or this DAD is happening, it would take some time. And the way I solved it there was a sleep. I just put it in a go routine, which would wait for like 30 seconds after system startup. Yeah.
That's
So that,
disgusting, but
yeah.
yeah.
But that solved it for a lot of our use cases. So I was like, okay, you know what, let it be there, because it's not blocking anyway, and it really doesn't matter, because if the system is using our DHCP, then the VM would delay start. Otherwise, it would just go ahead. So that's that. But yeah, this is a much cleaner solution because I can just do it where it is necessary, right? So it makes sense.
Yeah, you can just do something like JXEC whatever sysrc.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's tempting, never use sysrc from the host on a jail
Mm-hmm. No,
without
I
jailing the
just
sysrc,
manipulate the
because
RC
sysrc is
conf
implemented
outside
as
the.
basically
It's fine.
eval the jail's configuration files as shell script, and it runs as root.
Makes sense. Okay.
So yeah, the way you get the value of an rc.conf variable is you execute the etc rc.conf.
Yeah, makes sense.
And assigning variables is just the side effect you expect, but you can do potentially arbitrary things. It's not a good idea, but you can have something like a shell loop running export a bunch of times, or setinf, setvar to assign variables. And in very special corner cases, that can be the least bad solution, but generally it's really suboptimal idea.
Makes sense. Okay. So I think this would probably solve our IPv6 issues, at least as far as I can see.
You can try. Now you should have it.
Yeah.
What's a bit strange is that you don't have a global unicast address on the jail.
Um,
You
isn't this
only
it?
have a unique. That's a link local address.
Link locally, yeah,
The one below is a unique locally assigned, but there is no global address.
yeah.
Nothing started with 2 or something.
Right. No, yeah, because on that interface, since this is a Hetzner box, I can't really do it as I would like. So,
That's fairly easy. Hetzner will give you a /56 on
but
the
can I use
server.
multiple MAC addresses on it? Like if they see different MAC addresses,
Oh, they don't really care.
yeah, for
Because
IPv6
of
or
the
like
way
that.
their network is configured, at least on the dedicated servers, it's basically direct forwarding IP to port. It skipped the MAC address stage in their software-defined networking layer.
Oh, okay. That's nice.
So yeah, you're not supposed to spoof anyone else's, but
Why are we not seeing it
also you
yet?
can configure the host as a router. And if your host is
Oh,
a
yeah,
router, then
that's essentially what I usually do. I set up, like I buy an extra IPv6 and IPv4 address and then set up a firewall within the hypervisor and then,
yeah, that's not an. I think you have to get this extended whatever pack once
Mhm.
for the server, and then the IP address is free or something. So
Right.
that's how
Okay.
it used to work.
Okay, yeah, it worked. It just took some time, but it worked.
Mhm.
I think it's the RA interval that's messing with it. But yeah, it's nice.
We haven't. Yeah, that's a clean way of doing it.
Okay,
If
like, are
you
there some side effects to this that might bite me later on? Like,
do the no duplicate address detection,
yeah.
yeah, it will explode if you have devices with the same Ethernet MAC address.
Okay, yeah, we don't allow that anyway, so that's fine. It's like a,
But that shouldn't happen anyway and will cause lots of other issues.
yep.
Because if the same host then speaks IPv4 and you have a MAC address collision, that will also cause the MAC address to move around in the switches. So unless you only have IPv6, you will still see it breaking the other system. So
Yep,
yeah,
yep.
it's makes sense in theory. I'm not a friend of that because unless you disable duplicate address detection, basically you can also kick everyone off the network uh, at boot time. So whenever a device boots up, even if it's a router or a firewall, unless it's configured to ignore that, anyone else can veto, no, I don't want the firewall to come back on the network. Bye-bye.
That makes sense.
Which is why you always disable that on security devices.
hmm Okay, that is cool.
Other
Um,
questions?
Other questions. Yeah, another one. This might be a little bit off topic, but I was thinking of a PF, and then so I know about anchors. So what would be a good UX like thing for a user who just wants to set it up? Like, would they insert the anchor themselves, or can pf.conf be anywhere in the file system? Like,
Um,
usually just go into rc.conf where they enable it and then they point it to a file and then we have to add an anchor there. Like, what is a good UX of doing this?
I would say you want to have an anchor for each for you want to have one anchor in the global configuration for Slavy,
hmm
and then one sub anchor inside of that for each jail or virtual machine.
hmm So I can have
And
anchors within anchors, right?
yes, you can nest them, you can have wildcards and so on.
hmm
And with that structure, you can then have one part you generate, and you can allow the user to put something before and after the generated part.
Yeah, like
So if you want to
yeah.
have special stuff, you can write explicit pf.const. to go before or also after the auto-generated rules. And you can express that with another level of anchor.
Right.
And one thing which is often overlooked is that you can also have conditions on the anchor, like only apply this anchor on this interface or something like that.
Yeah, that'll come in handy. Yeah, makes sense. So what about the initial startup stuff? Like, imagine like a user does not have any of these things. So when you start up, do you like dynamically add in your anchor to the original pf.conf? What if the
I
pf.conf
would,
does?
because you can't know what the user has in the etcpf.conf, I would make it part of the install instructions to add the anchor definition so that you can put something in the anchor programmatically. Because don't mess with the user's firewall rules. Don't presume to know what you can do or not to them. And then you have your defined entry point into the pf.conf.
So
The anchor. So
etc
the anything
pf.conf
in
or
the
whatever
anchor,
it is that like canon? Like, will that be universally the same, or will users have like weird configs where it's defined in very weird places?
it's assumed to always be etcpf.conf. Yes, you
Okay.
can override it, but that's not important because you don't load the etcpf.conf. You only load your anchor.
Yes, but where do we specify this anchor? Like we have to specify it into some file, right?
No, you can also via
Oh, with
pfctl you can
pfctl?
specify the anchor name you want to load, and then you just pipe the pf.conf via /dev stdin. So you pf.conf files can also be read from standard input. So you can pipe the generated pf.conf into the pfctl as a child process. So if you want to update your anchor, you just spawn pfctl, instruct it to read from /dev/stdin, so standard input, into your anchor, and you reload your anchor.
Okay.
It's fairly scripting
Makes sense.
friendly in that regard, if you use the anchors. Otherwise, it's totally scripting hostile.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, I think those are my questions.
Can we have a quick demo of jails in Sylve?
Yeah. So something new that I think is not there from last time is like snapshots inside of jails. So these go into VMs as well. So why we have here this is because it's difficult to go back to ZFS and then make a snapshot there. So we just here, and then it just shows up here, and you can roll back to it. And this is completely independent from whatever we're doing there. And this also includes like configs. So if you roll back to this, it'll bring back your network config and CPU, RAM config, and all that kind of stuff. Same goes for VMs as well. And since we use Delta and all kinds of rotation and match policies, these will not be included into backups because restoration becomes such a pain when you do. And I was just messing with Proxmox backup server yesterday, and I realized that they also don't do this for LXCs and VMs because it is such a pain to do. Since people can essentially have jobs that they restore from over and over again, so the history start to diverge a lot. So you might have like 3 backups, and you restore back to the first backup, and then you run a job again. So what happens is this whole chain gets disrupted, and your older snapshots are no longer viable, like in this. So we just don't do that. But yeah, this is really nifty for like just upgrading and then seeing if something breaks, and then you can come back immediately. So I would consider this ephemeral, but yeah, that is one, I think, major thing that we did here. And oh yeah, all the lifecycle hooks are now editable within not just creation. Like you can do that here. That's
Wow.
also done, I think, recently. And then, yeah, a lot of options too. These were two new things we added in the edit section. So that's that. And yeah, what else? What else? Yeah, the logs are now much more, reliable, because before it was like we were just reading once during start and once during end. Now it just constantly reads it. So this is actually live. So something happens, you can see it here.
Per VM and jail or across the board on everything?
Oh, this is just for this jail.
Okay, so
And
log is specific to it. Great. Okay.
yeah, so if you go here, like we don't have anything here because there are not many logs that Beehive gives us that is useful to the user.
No
But
comment,
I
but
think
yes.
libwort's logs are really good. I'll probably add that here. But since we have the what is it called? The Kemu guest agent, I'm just playing around with it a lot these days. And unfortunately, I couldn't get it to work with Windows, but that's a Beehive call thing. But yeah, and just to for posterity, it doesn't work on Illumos either, which is good to know because it's not just us that's broken. But Chemical Station is really, really nice because you don't have to load in serial or VNC to get IP address and things like that.
Right.
Yeah. And I think for jails, I can have like a similar window here where we see some basic info like IP addresses, but we already have this here. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Are we looking at night mode?
Oh yeah, you are. Because I like my eyes.
And there are two themes,
Warn
or
us,
there's
please. Oh.
infinite themes? Aha.
Sorry.
There are two themes, or there are infinite themes?
Um, uh, just two for now. I mean,
Okay,
it's not that
cool.
difficult to add in. Like, it's just like one little block in our app. Like, this is for white mode and this is for dark mode. If you want to add more, like, it's not that difficult.
Hazam,
Yeah, yeah.
it would be nice to be able to have different themes. Let's say you have a different. So if you have one instance for prod and one for dev, it would be nice if you could just make one blue, the other red, or something like that.
To not confuse them.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So like something contrasty. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Well,
Yes, I like the high contrast UI.
Mm-hmm.
So please keep the high contrast level, even if you add additional colors. We don't want more gray on slightly darker gray or something like that. Because you don't always use your stuff on a color calibrated display with shades, right?
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes you're on a laptop with an annoying window next to you, and your laptop display needs to be cleaned yesterday.
yes,
You
Jan.
still should be.
So burying your point, if you have a cluster or a notion of a cluster to color coordinate them with, say, dramatically different colors like, well, red and green, be it for development and production, so that you know that when you click on, say, that on the left there, perhaps doc ploy, if that's production, it might be a red theme attached to it, just so that managers and operators don't do anything just reckless and experimental on production. I think that's what you're trying to say, Jan. I don't know if that logically applies,
Yes,
but just so that it's clear as day that, one is your local machine you're messing with and one is a remote
yeah,
critical
color coding can be
system.
useful just because humans are fallible. We
Yeah.
make mistakes. Um, and about the logging output from virtual machines, what I tend to do with Beehive is to use the first serial or second one, depends on the convention you like, but just make the log all the stuff on the first serial and then use the second one for actual logins.
Sorry, I didn't get you.
There are
So
comments
what
in the
I
chat
tend to
about
do with
logging. Go ahead.
Beehive is to use the first serial port of the virtual machine
Uh-huh.
as the logging device, because operating systems configured to use a serial console, so FreeBSD, OpenBSD, and so on, will put all the boot messages there and error
Oh, okay.
messages and so on.
Mm-hmm,
And with syslogd, you can just write emergency log messages there
Makes sense.
and then use the second serial console for the interactive login so that you also don't get the annoying behavior that the log messages just clobber the interactive session.
That makes sense.
Amen.
So if you have something which is producing enough output, it could be really annoying if you get 2 or 3 lines of output a second and you try
Mhm.
to debug it through the same console that gets spammed by syslogd or the kernel.
Are guests smart enough though? Like, would they send like the error output to one and then let us do serial on the other? Like,
Here you just on Linux you just enable the
okay, we
TTY
enable
at
we
the
enable console for
login
that
at
particular.
TTY some S1 instead of
Mhm.
S0 and still configured as the bootloader device. So for an automated startup where you don't do anything to the bootloader, it should just write out the boot message and you see grub or the FreeBSD bootloader scrolling along in the log file. Uh, and then you see the real boot messages.
Mhm. Right.
So the DMASC output basically. And that would be something useful because when you see it booting in the log file, so if I start a virtual machine and get impatient to open the log output, I see the DMASC messages scrolling. And when it
Mhm.
stops, I also see the get TTY message on the serial port. I guess you could be clever and mark the console as available when the second console, the moment you see the first byte outputted to the second serial port, you think, oh, that must be get TTY, right? So you
Right.
could even make it so that the color changes on the uh, console button to signal that, hey, there was output on the interactive console. That's probably a login prompt, which means the machine is ready to log in.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, other than that, if Beehive runs correctly, you're right, it doesn't produce useful output,
Yeah.
uh, but it also doesn't produce any output. So
Yeah.
yeah,
No, if you
so
use TPM, like it spams the log. Like, I have this
yeah,
Windows machine here, which is going berserk whenever I turn it on. But yeah, let's see. Var log. I think it was leopard beehive 101. You can see that this message gets spammed over and over
yeah,
again.
okay, that's a kind of
Right.
warning message because the TPN implementation is incomplete or Windows is
Uh,
abusing it.
Yeah, Windows is probably abusing it. I looked into kind of disabling it and it works, but I didn't have time to make a patch yet. But yeah.
It, sometimes Ethernet and NVMe devices will throw some noise at you that's also harmless but annoying. Um,
Yeah, frame buffer base address and stuff like that.
that, yeah.
It,
Are
it's
you
basically
familiar?
debug messages left in the production code.
That's a good point. Hazem, are you familiar with the SAC management console on Windows Server?
No, I don't think I am.
So if you do enable a serial interface on Windows, it will prompt you for SAC greater than. And that lets you log in remotely and do other useful stuff. So having serial consoles can actually be useful on Windows, is my point.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And
about
sometimes that's
serial
your only sign of
console.
life. Go ahead.
Okay,
You
yeah,
were
that
saying.
makes sense. But I was having such a bad time with serial console on Windows in general.
Ah,
So I kind of gave up that alley because I spent like a day, like last week, trying to get the Chemo guest agent to work. So everything looks good on all sides. Like I thought it was Beehive malfunctioning, but it wasn't. The console port is fine. The serial stuff shows up in Windows. It's just it wouldn't use it.
hmm.
So and I investigated and I found out that the Lumos people were there first, and then it just doesn't work on Windows. And I had issues with that on Proxmox as well. So I kind of figured that, okay, something broke, big in Windows 11 and Server 2025, where it's kind of just pointless. So yeah.
So QEMU guest agent seems to be broken across the board on Windows.
No, I think it's Windows just being broken with serial
Oh,
devices. Yeah. Because
um,
Chemo Guest Agent itself works fine on everything else that Windows throws at it. But in this case, the serial just is not being picked up by Windows at all. Um, and the same thing works great on Windows 10. So,
interesting.
yep,
Well, it would be nice to have the SAC, but it might not be something to get through QEMU guest agent.
yep.
Interesting. Is it just me half a world away, or is the interface really responsive?
No, it is. This is not going to be responsive because there is way too much data to show here,
Really? It
and
seems snappy.
this is snappy. Like I mean, on a desktop, it is snap. It's
Okay.
fast, but it's just not responsive, I would say.
Oh, fine. Okay.
Um,
Well, it seems snappy.
Responsive as in quick, not responsive as in responsive to web design.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. It is definitely responsive. Yeah. And this is running a development build. So what's happening is I am getting megabytes of JavaScript back and forth,
Oh,
and it'll
interesting.
be
Okay.
like it's faster than whatever we're seeing now.
Wow.
Yeah. And I today I just, since I somewhat finished the documentation and I gave it to my copywriting guys, and they're sifting through it. So that's when I got some free time to remove dependencies we no longer use, and we removed like what 30 npm dependencies. So it just got
Nice.
a little better because I mean dislike adding more and more packages, because even though it's pretty small, like all npm dependencies are like what 100 kilobytes or something like that, but at the end of the day, supply chain attacks are real, and one bad npm package can wreck stuff.
I like your thinking.
Yeah. So now we have just bare minimums, except the svelte libraries and things like that, which we kind of cannot remove, and those are like sponsored by like huge guys, so I don't think those will get supply chain attacked anytime soon. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. And yeah, it is pretty responsive in the sense that, okay, it's fast, but you open this on a mobile device, it's not going to be responsive in that regard. Like it won't fit in your screen.
So about
But
that, months ago
yeah,
you said you might have a different GUI toolkit with a common API for that. Is that
yes,
still the
yes, yeah.
plan?
Yeah, because most of the things that you can do over here, I mean, not most, everything you do over here is doable over the regular API.
Oh, that's
So,
fantastic.
so
Okay.
when I get some time, I'll probably. The thing I hate the most about mobile devices is the fact that it is really, really hard to test.
Ah,
Like if I do something, I mean, it's a lot better now with all these web tech coming to mobile space, but it's still, on a real device, I have to connect it, and emulators suck, and it just wastes a lot of time. That's the only reason why I'm, putting it off. But there's so much development going on in that space where it's really, really easy for us to do it. But yeah,
well, and even if it's just status information, that's helpful. Just monitoring on the mobile device.
yeah,
Just say, okay,
I
over
do.
lunch, just make sure the production didn't go down or the
Yeah,
push
yeah,
was successful, etc. So there's that.
Yeah.
the opposite will happen. You quickly try to change something on your break, and then production will be down.
So there, it's a safeguard. And you showed briefly a CLI. It sounds like only a small percentage of the API is represented with that at the
Oh
moment.
yeah, like 5 or 10% is
Okay.
represented, and
Well,
five or
fine.
10% of the important bits where if you get locked out,
Yeah.
you can get KVM or IPMI into your machine and then manage stuff there. So, but it's extensible. It's not that it's very difficult to do. It's extensible AF. So, and yeah.
Okay, I trust the license has stayed the same.
Oh yeah.
Oh, good. There's no one pressuring you to take it away from all of
It's
us.
just me at this point. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, this is exciting. I'd love to see that documentation when the time comes, because that having that in hand with just testing the pre-release is a
Oh
great way
yeah.
to do it.
Regarding that, since you mentioned about the bells on ARM64 not going to be working, um, I added in actions here with ARM64 bells.
Cool.
Yeah, so you can just download it from here and then get going.
Oh, no kidding. Okay. So are you still thinking that you might have jails on ARM64 in the first release,
Oh
but
yeah,
not Beehive?
definitely, definitely.
Cool.
And since this is, like when virtualization starts working properly on ARM64, you can just toggle it because it's not like it's an install time flag only. Like if you go here, you can see that, everything is enabled here. So what would happen is once the, libvirt and beehive stuff are, in order, they would just click here, toggle it, and that's it. So that's I think that'll be fine. And a lot of our production use case as well right now would not work with beehive anyway because most of our hosts are either on, I think, Azure or Hetzner, where they are really tiny servers and all they have is like KMU support because they don't support nested virtualization. And you really don't want to do nested virtualization there. So jails are perfect there. So we
Fair enough.
happy.
Fair enough.
So that's like my target audience, like at least in the beginning, because a lot of the people who host stuff there are kind of stuck. And I was doing some benchmarks for the documentation just so that we have something to say, okay, this is different from Proxmox. And what I found out was the fact that the base system, like base in the sense like just Proxmox installed on like a 2 vCPU 4 gigabytes if I remember correctly machine would take up like what 400 megabytes of RAM, and then like 2 or 3 cores are just simply just idling 15%, 16%, something like that. And that is insane to me because the moment you turn on CoroSync or some clustering thing like that, just for LXCs, it becomes even worse because those application, what do you mean? Packages are really, really heavy, and that is, I think, a good selling point for us because when you install this on a base bare minimum FreeBSD machine, all it takes is what, like 64 megabytes of RAM and then less than 1% of your CPU. So that's really cool, and that is with a clustering enabled.
Wow. Okay.
So that's like really, really
So,
nice because a
Azam,
lot, yeah.
I think Hetzner has support for making images for virtual machines public within their system, right? So that they're easy to install by basically name for the management interface.
Yes and no. I have some products which I did get
Because
custom images up there with,
Mhm.
but it is really finicky. Like you have to kind of send them an image and then they put it into your dashboard alone. But if your distro, I think, is based on Debian or something like that, they will let you do cloud init provisioning. But since
Mhm.
unfortunately they don't support FreeBSD, I don't think that will work for us because the
Well,
applications right now, how their provisioning is they just have a base Debian or Ubuntu image, like a cloud init image, and then the application developers like me, they just give this, like cloud init config, and they run it on top of it.
That's
So,
fine because if I have a FreeBSD image, at least FreeBSD has a fairly usable cloud init implementation built in, rewritten in Lua.
yeah, no age in it or something like that, right? Yeah.
Yes.
No, I think that is not the issue. It's just the fact that they won't do it for me, because I sent them an email saying, like this would be really nice. They said, if we have more people requesting us, like we'll add it in again, because they had it before. That's the irony. It's not that they didn't have
Yeah.
it at all. So
I
maybe
know.
people will keep asking them, bugging them,
Mhm.
that they include it.
Apparently, they had one guy doing it and he left.
Yeah, that's sad. But yeah, that would be great, because we could pre-configure a lot of stuff, at least installing packages and things like that, so people don't have to ever see a terminal, which is how some people live their life.
I
Yep,
mean,
indeed.
the hacky way would be to have a cloud init configuration which pulls in a depengonator image to the first
Can you do that
SSD.
live though? Like I thought about that, but can you do it live? Like when a system is running, how would you go on top of it? Or are you
The
talking about mounting
physical
an IP?
servers they provide all have two or more hard drives, so
Uh-huh.
you can do it. The idea would be you depends on how sure you feel. The idea is you remove the second drive from the SSD, the second drive from the RAID, install FreeBSD on that, and then you can either yeah get a
No,
remote
okay. For
KVM
dedicated
access, or
machines,
you just
you know what I
trust
do?
your
I run it with
automation
QEMU.
to do it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
if you
yeah.
boot into the rescue system, the Debian rescue system,
Mm-hmm.
it's a pure in-memory system, so you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
just uh, put the installer on the first SSD,
Mm-hmm.
install on the second, and then yeah,
Yeah,
overwrite
what I
to it.
actually do is just run a QEMU over it with KVM on
Yeah,
on the rescue machine with two disks attached. That's how I installed this machine actually. Like I'll just run QEMU with the KVM acceleration, and
mhm.
then install it there, set up the networking
And they
config
have
the best I
some kind
can,
of
restart, and then that
soft
just works.
KVM access for that in the management interface. They used to, so that the in-memory system would boot both SSDs as a uh, virtual machine.
Okay. Yeah,
The
in my case,
in the
it's just
robot
praying and praying.
interface, I think you can boot into a kind of virtual KVM setup.
Yeah, I think not virtual KVM, but recently how I did it was just booting into rescue and then doing it from there.
With KVM, I mean keyboard video mouse access, so that
Yeah, yeah,
instead of
yeah.
hooking up the crash card for you, they
Uh-huh.
would boot your server into a net boot system, which then runs KVM QEMU.
Mm-hmm.
But that assumes that your installation comes up in KVM QEMU and on the physical system, which is easy to do with FreeBSD because those are fairly simple servers they rent out.
Right, yeah. I think
So,
that's fine
But
for this dedicated use cases, but the cloud stuff that they offer, and it's really, really popular. Like yesterday, we tried provisioning like what 10 small servers, and it's just not there anymore. Like it's all sold out. So there's a huge market there, I think.
questions for Hazem? Philip, Rod.
No, I think it's really neat stuff.
so one question for Hazem from me again would be how you configure the jail networking right now.
Okay, so let me just take the jail directory here. So here we have so our jail configs, right? They don't live in the etc jail.conf.d or somewhere like that. They live in a directory that we like to play around with. So this is our data directory, and everything related to Sylve
Yeah.
goes into this data directory. And let's see for this jail what we do. So let's see, pre-start. So this is what I currently do. I bring up the ePair interface through Go, like something happens there, and then I set the Ethernet address here, and then set like a nice little description, and then just bring it up, have fun with it. So both A and B parts are set up here, and then we add it to a bridge, which already should be existing, and then just start the jail. And that's pretty
One
much it.
one thing I would change is that right now your shell script will not fail if one of the steps fails.
No, it won't fail. It'll just continue going.
Yeah, so the jails may start up with a partially configured network or something.
Yes.
You can just set a single shell option to change that. If
Mm-hmm.
you set dash E, like echo,
Mm-hmm.
it will abort the shell if the first top-level command fails. So you can still have checks inside of conditionals and so on, but if a top-level command fails, the whole script aborts.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So it will just
It's
not
just so
start the jail,
that
right?
you don't
If it exists
have
here, it won't
silent
start, right?
errors.
If it fails here, it won't go further, right?
Well, the problem right now is, let's say the first ifconfig invocation fails for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
The script would continue and would return exit status 0.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So the
It just
jail
thinks it
command
worked.
wouldn't know that something is wrong.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah,
Um,
that makes a lot of sense.
or you could join them all with ampersand ampersand,
Mm-hmm.
so that you make. But the easier thing, especially on the reader's eye, is to just put a set dash E in the beginning of the.
Of the shell script.
Yeah, it's the first command in the script.
Right.
It's documented
That
in
would,
the shven page.
But then you don't know what exactly failed.
like
That's
this.
correct. Yeah, that's enough.
Well, okay. Well, failing here, write to the log like if I, let's say,
Well,
I do
the
this.
command itself would write an error.
Okay.
In this
But it
case,
wouldn't show
ifconfig
up on
will
the.
write to standard error.
Oh, it'll write the standard error. Okay. Got it.
So your command is expected to write an error message if something is wrong. But
Mm-hmm.
beforehand, you wouldn't have seen it in the exit status of the script. The script would
Mm-hmm.
have silently eaten the error message and also the error code, and the
Mm-hmm.
message would be there, but you wouldn't know to look for it because nothing failed to start. You have a jail, it's running, it's just potentially not working.
Right. That makes
And
sense.
it's better if failures are noisy and obvious during startup
Mm-hmm.
than something you find out, like, for example, let's say you have a jail with two network interfaces, one in that VLAN, one in another, something, or a connection between two jails, whatever. And one of the two is missing. Maybe you can SSH in and your web server is reachable, but the database is not.
Mm-hmm.
In that case, it's better if it just fails immediately and obviously.
Right. It makes sense. It's a simple enough thing, and I can get more logs out of it. Just cool.
Mhm. Oh, and you can also use ifconfig-j or jexec ifconfig once the jail is created to put a
Oh yeah,
description
I
on the
looked into that.
interface inside the jail.
Yeah, I looked into it, but there was something that was going wrong. I think within Go, the package I wrote,
Mhm.
thing, I think we discussed this before as well. I don't remember. Yes, this stuff, right? Like I can't figure out how they did dash J, like how they got it to work, because when I try scoping for this, especially for iFace stuff, it just doesn't work. Like I get weird
So
errors.
they do it by attaching the process to the jail.
Right. So
So there's a jail
not fun.
attached somewhere. So you would have to spawn a child. To do it the same way the jail command does, you would have
Uh-huh.
to spawn a child process.
Okay, so it just makes no difference, like doing it here or there, right?
Well, what you're doing right here is that if you look at your jail.conf,
Uh-huh.
the one you generated, um, as you can see, you append with plus equals to the pre-start and so on, and then you tell
Mm-hmm.
the shell to spawn your script as a command, but you could also, because it's shell, slurp it into the shell. So if you put dot and space in front of the path,
Mm-hmm.
so double quote dot space slash zero dot 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 dot,
Uh-huh.
then you would avoid spawning one layer of shell, because then the shell command, which the jail command started, would become your shell script because it would read it in to the current jail.
Oh, okay.
So into the current shell. So
Uh-huh.
you could save one level of interaction here because you're already in the shell. So you don't have to start a shell to run a shell script. You can just make it part of your current shell.
Or like how we source like bash RC or something like that, right?
Yes, like how you would source the rc.subthread, your custom rc.d script.
Was it like this?
No, not just one dot. Otherwise, it's a relative path. No,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
exactly that. That works
Yes.
for shell scripts. Of course, it doesn't work if you write them in another language.
All right, this is gonna be shell anyway, so
Yeah,
that's nice.
that's just a
And
small
will
optimization
the plus equal to
opportunity.
break that, or will it just work?
What?
Will the plus equal to here break that? Like if I do this,
No,
it'll
no,
be.
no. Each plus equal assignment gets its own jail. So if you have multiple, there's no contamination between them.
Oh,
So
okay.
for every exec dot something hook, you get a new child process, which is
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
basically jail dash C your string value.
Okay, got it. So yeah, I think coming back to your question, so that's pretty much it. Like, yeah, it's not that complicated yet, but yeah. And another thing that I noticed was the order does not matter, right?
The order of what?
Order of like, let's assume exec for this, thing, or if I
Only
put mount
within the
as
same
here.
hook. So the order of the different exec hooks is meaningless in the configuration file because the order is the order in which the jail state machine in the jail command
Mm-hmm.
executes the different hooks. But if you have multiple pre-start hooks, then the order starts to matter because if you
Oh,
have
okay. Yeah, yeah.
exec dot
No, that
pre-start
that
one and
that
then
won't
the
happen.
other, then they run in the order in which they were defined in the configuration.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. No, the reason why we did all shell scripts here is because people can extend it. So if I edit here, what actually
Mhm.
happens is it won't edit this. It just edits the file that this is pointing to, so that it
So
doesn't mess up our config and theirs.
you can just give them the option of adding their own hooks through this web interface or the API so that they can, you just generate these as the default, and then you give them the option of, hey, you can have a list of exec.prestarts. This is the one we generate for you, and you can then pre-order the list and you generate a new j.conf for that.
Yeah, it makes sense. But getting it all here is kind of challenging. Like, let's say this is our stuff, right? Like we manage this. So what happens is, let's say, let me just exit out of it so there are no write errors. Let's say I'm doing, let's hope the demo works. Is this pre-start? Yeah, pre-start. Let's say I do, why is this not working?
So what you could do is Go already has a template engine in the standard library, right?
Yeah.
Are you using the templating engine for the text generation?
For this shell scripts, no, because we only have like a few lines, right?
Yeah, but if you make the jail configuration available as templating, users could get arbitrarily clever. Yeah, you give them enough tools to be dangerous. Then you register it, but it could also make your life easier because now, yeah, the lifecycle hooks exactly. You would, oh, you kind of have that. Okay, so yeah, if you allow them to have more than one per type and sort them in this UI.
Okay, I think my question is what the difference between putting like, let's assume they gave us like 15 commands. What if I just put everything into one pre-start hook or something like that? If I put everything into this one file, what happens
If you
then?
put everything in that file, that's fine. The difference becomes apparent for the hooks which run inside the jail. So something like start. The start hook runs inside the jail. So
Right,
your
yeah.
shell script is not available there.
Yes, so what we do is we mount the directory anyway, right? So that's what I was going to show you guys. Let's say use the local self scripts stop. So where is it? Yeah, stop. So here, what happened is when they in the UI when they edit it, it goes into this file which is inside the jail. So this is the jail.
You not just mount that into the jail.
Yes.
Yeah, that works, but it's not required. You're making life hard for yourself.
Right. But there was some reason why I did this. Why did I do this? Oh yeah, if we
Probably
reference
because you
from
didn't want
outside,
to quote the user script.
quote the user. Yes, yeah, that is why. So if I do everything here, right? Like imagine I have really complicated start and stop scripts. Then if I put everything here, oh yeah, I could do the dot slash thing. Will that
The
work?
dot space only works for the ones which run on the host. Unless
Oh
you
no, not on
mount
the host. Okay.
the script into the jail, then it still works. But
Yeah.
you could also just write a Go function or find an existing package.
For what? I didn't get you. Like we have to run it
So
inside the jail
to
itself, right?
apply string quoting,
Oh, okay. So
it
everything
has
in
to
jail
be
are
ready
gone.
to use. I think the doesn't this Go
No, I'm pretty sure
printf
the standard
function
lib will work.
finally
Yeah.
have a quoted print?
It is there, but like what happens
So
when you
that you
have
could use
scripts that have
fmt.format.
No, like I think my concern was there, like what if the shell scripts are like arbitrarily large or arbitrarily like weird, like in this case I kind of compartmentalize each script in their own little file. So even if they mess up everything here, like it doesn't affect anything else, at least the
Yeah,
files.
but so in Go you have %q as format operator, I think, to format quote the output. I would check what kind of quoting that applies because yeah, you would also have to quote $signs. So basically, you have to quote $signs and $signs and double ticks. Anything else you can just leave in.
No, like what are we like gaining from it though? Like what is our what is our achievement there? Like, are we saving space? Are we like doing something special? Like,
Um,
because
if
we can mount this anywhere, right? Yeah.
yeah, you can, but you save the clutter of having extra file systems mounted. So if someone runs mount on the host, it's not cluttered with extra mount points.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of not infecting or your jail manager into the managed jails.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Yeah. That is 100%. Yeah. Makes sense.
so now you're kind of forcing your way to do things on the jail,
Mm-hmm.
which at some point you have to, but in this you don't. Yeah, it can be
Yeah, I
argued
mean,
either
like,
way.
this is really funny because it's not just here. Like, I think in a lot of places within this project, we
Mhm.
started off with the mindset that let's just do it in a super abstract way, like where we use whatever is available and we don't make our own little conventions out of everything. And then
Mhm.
we slowly started hitting a UX block there. So if you notice, I'll show you something cool. So now, when you initialize, like install setup Sylve, right? So what happens is
Mhm.
we make a ZFS file system just for jails and VMs, and then we
Of course,
nest, like, let's see, right? Worked. So you can see that it's all under this now.
nice. Yep, makes total sense.
Yeah, so before it wasn't like this. Before, how it was they make the file system, they decide where the root, I mean, raw disks go, they decide where the volumes go. So now it's just one thing. And
Yep.
this is also not super, what do you say, exportable in a way, because another thing I can show you is all the configs, right? Like they are very, very special to us because I don't think anybody else does libvirt anymore on FreeBSD. Everybody just relies
Mhm.
on like something else. So, and this config is even more specialized to us now because our networking configs are really weird. We have cloud init stuff here, and then the QEMU
Mhm.
agent stuff here. So every time the user makes some change, this is there for replication, by the way, because we have to reproduce the same config on the other side. So all of these
Sure,
things are
it's a
not
giant
really usable by the
JSON
user
blob.
anyway. Sorry.
It's a giant JSON config. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So this is not going to be usable by the user anyway. So we are kind of past that point. So yeah.
Yes, on the host, but this is now infecting the guest,
Yes. Yeah, it is.
which is, I wouldn't mind uh, that you put it somewhere under var db Sylve or something makes sense, or but the configs of var run or if generated on every start, but
Mhm.
exposing the mount points into the jail is it works. Uh, yeah, it's not that elegant because what do you do if you have a jail which doesn't have a shell in it yet?
Yeah, we actually thought about that, and
Because of the bootstrapping problem and so on.
mhm.
Okay, you're already taking care of that bootstrapping, and hopefully you won't break it that badly. But
Yeah, I mean, it's a like weird thing to talk about because what do we care about more? Like, sure, we can do everything in a super portable, fun way, but then it just becomes a mess for the user who just wants to get going. Or we
no,
could do
nothing
it
would
the
change
Let
for
him
the
opposite way.
user.
finish. Let him finish.
So
But
and what was I saying? Or you could do it in like such a special way, I would say. And the major reason I did this is because I really disliked how the config started looking inside the jail conf. It might not sound like a
mhm,
very good explanation for it, but especially when you have like multiple switches attached to one jail, like having all the ifconfig stuff that we put in start or whatever script that we put in start, all starts
mhm,
polluting that one .conf file, right? So that kind of looked weird to
correct.
me. because we have this one jail. I think I showcased that earlier, where we were learning like GitHub Actions or something stupid like that inside a jail, and there we had a lot of weird stuff in start.sh and stop.sh as well. Then it just starts, looking weird in the jail.conf. So I
Yeah,
think that's
it does.
one reason why I did this. Yeah. But yeah, you're definitely right about it being pollutive of the guests. But since they are going to be using, I mean, if they do want to make it portable, like it's not that big a deal, they can still, unzip this and send it elsewhere and then start at the Bastille or whatever. Like it's just, silent there, because since we invoke this inside just our little GUI here, it won't run elsewhere, right? Like unless they use this exact same jail.conf and they use this exact same paradigm, like they can just remove these two lines from their existing conf and it should be good to go, right?
Um, hmm. So generating scripts for the stuff running outside of the guest is totally fine in my opinion. What I've started doing is avoiding the hooks which run inside the jail, making the jails persistent, and then use the post start hook to just invoke JExec, so that basically I'm never intentionally running something inside the jail unless I run JExec to enter the jail. It's not how the jail command is intended to be used, but it works perfectly fine.
Yes, is this thing gonna go away? Will be fun.
Yeah. So what you could do is you could generate a jail.conf snippet and include it from the global jail.conf. That would even work inside the guest without mounting file systems. Then the ugly quoted script would be inside of its own file, and the jail.conf would just include it.
Oh, right. That makes sense. Yeah. That makes sense.
The cost to you would be you would have to write a function which can quote in arbitrary strings, which is
No,
a shell
I don't
script.
think quoting or anything would like that would be an issue, because if we use something, rock solid like Ghost templating stuff, like I've used that
Yeah,
extensively in some projects, and
exactly.
that,
You write a filter in that.
yeah. But I'm worried about global stuff though, because if we kind of rely on that, then we have to assume that they didn't do anything in there. The major reason for why we did this whole like the in our this data directory, right? Like the reason why I did everything in this data directory is because this is ours. Like we don't expect anybody to mess things up here too bad, or we don't expect this to be in use by the user either. So where this becomes powerful is that we don't touch anything outside of the scope, like jail.conf, or like that's the major reason why I didn't even use Bastille for this case, because they kind of mess with pretty much everything on the system, like networking or like configurations, where existing jails kind of don't like it when you run Bastille. But now here, like you can use Bastille or you can make your own jail conf elsewhere. Like we don't touch any of those things, right? So yeah. But it has its drawbacks, like global hooks like that wouldn't work, wouldn't fly here, and then we end up polluting the user's file system. But what will you do? But I'll totally look into adding in some stuff. I think no, it doesn't make sense, like where we would use this.
So
I'm not sure.
one way you could make the configuration look nicer is if you wrote a command line tool to which replaced the ifconfig invocations. Instead of doing ifconfig, you would have some kind of Slyvie jail helper, whatever, which you could then say, hey, and it could read the database or something, or talk to the API via Unix socket to get so that you can then have stuff be configured by the Sylve ID or whatever for the guest. So bring up networking for this ID as one command.
Right. Oh, okay, so you mean like JXEC but with steps.
No, not JXEC. You would do it normally you would do during the created phase, which runs on the
Uh-huh.
host after the jail has been created, but before anything got executed in it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best place to bring up the jail networking.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could do stuff like just run a single command which tells Slyly that the jail is asking for its networking, and then you apply it from within Slyly with netlink or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
instead of doing it the manual way. It would be more tightly integrated and make the jail would kind of just sequence the statements you go through, and Slyly would provide kind of a callback mechanism for the jail to, okay, jail, your user configuration is in the state that now my well-defined network configuration has to happen.
Okay, so how does the jail know to communicate with the host?
The jail doesn't, but the jail command
Okay.
would do it through a general purpose configuration would be something like Slyve netup ID would be the command you run. You have to write the Slyve netup command, and it knows how to go from the jail ID to whatever configuration you want. So maybe it queries the running process, or it directly reads the SQLite database, gets a
Maybe,
configuration, applies it, and or it's
no,
a
maybe
complicated
I'm
shell
getting this
script.
wrong. So like let's assume we have the host here and then there's the guest here. I mean the jail here, okay?
Yes,
So now our contention is that the host has like pre-start hooks and post stop hooks and all these stuff. And what we
yeah.
do for
So
jail is we have start and stop and things like that inside jail, right? So
yes,
where does these other hooks come into play? Like how would the jail know, okay,
okay.
now it's time to configure networking?
So when you use a jail.conf to
Uh-huh.
start a jail,
Uh-huh.
the jail command passes the configuration file
Uh-huh.
and has inside the command all the parameters you've configured and additional variables you can assign. So if you can assign additional variables, and now you have all those variable to value mappings inside the jail command. Now the jail command goes through a list of steps it has to do to start a jail.
Uh-huh.
The first thing it does is it runs the prepare hooks, if there are any. Those are
Okay.
run before it tries to mount file systems. So in a prepare hook, you're running so early that you can, for example, create the jail's file systems which have to be mounted so that
Mm-hmm.
the jail root directory even exists. Okay, now you have the jail root directory created because you did ZFS create, whatever. Then
Mm-hmm.
the jail gets created, but nothing is executed yet because you may have to do something, for example, to the host's network stack. That's what you do in the exec.created hook. Here, the jail exists, its file systems are mounted, but the start hook is not yet executed.
Mm-hmm.
But the networking is not yet brought up. So, for example, if you want to dynamically create network interfaces, which can be moved into the jail, now is the time for that. Because there
Okay,
is a
so
jail and you can attach network interfaces with ifconfig, vnet, something,
mm-hmm.
make e-pairs, assign them exactly. That's what you
Okay.
can do. In prepare, you create file systems.
So the prepare thing kind of doesn't like, what do you say, help us much, because we make the root FS and all those stuff like
Yeah,
prior to the jail being there anyway,
exactly.
like
But
manually. So that's
if
there. But
if you
now
want
we
it,
have EPS here. So when we are what we initially had in the start config here, we had what we had. I've config Ethernet address like up whatever, and then we had the MAC address stuff here, like all those stuff, right? Like we have to run this within the jail, right? And like imagine the
yes,
user has something like echo hello, like
yeah,
all this stuff they're expecting them to run inside the jail.
yes, correctly.
Yeah, so here like what the status quo is, we just put it in the jail, I mean whatever the jail
Mhm.
conf is, and then we point it to the file in the config, right? Like blah
Mhm.
blah slash start.sh. So the jail command looks at this command, I mean, looks at this file, and we're like, okay, let's just run this command. That's what's happening, right? So
Right
I thought
now,
what you were trying to say is like we don't need to do this. We can just put this directly into the dot start hook. That's what you meant, right?
I would recommend against that.
Okay.
What I would recommend would be to use the created or pre-start hook to invoke jexec sysrc to configure the jail RC script
Uh-huh.
to write to the jail configuration.
To write to the jail configuration. Okay. Jail
So you would
configuration
do
in the sense like what we are doing here, right? Like this script.
no, not the jail.conf, to the slash etc directory of the jail. So etcrc.conf. You would use sysrc with jexec
Uh-huh.
to treat the jail's etcrc.conf as a database.
Okay.
So you would let me put it in chat.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. Right. So here we have this. So what
That
if
you
like
can
this
do.
is priv config, right? I think we
Hmm?
do this anyway in some
Mhm.
way, but what if there is custom, like really custom configs? Then what happens? Like that should run inside the jail.
It
Like let's
does.
assume
It attaches
this
to the jail. It uses
blah.
jexec.
Yeah, but then you're passing you're basically using sysrc as a database, right?
Yeah,
So we,
you're
yeah,
provisioning the jail.
right, yeah. So then, like, if I want to send a curl request here, so how would I do that in RC?
How would you do what? You write an rc.d script
Yes.
and you
So
enable it.
then, yeah, but then it's a kind of like out of our scope, right?
Yes, totally.
Yeah. So the user have to kind of do this manually.
Yeah, it would be part of their jail image or whatever.
Yeah, right. So I think that is what I was kind of trying to
You should
avoid
make
here.
it a package, and then you can install, add support for running the first package and other first boot scripts or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Right.
find a good hooking mechanism, but with that you can inject the network configuration.
Oh yeah, networking it makes sense. Yeah, networking it makes sense.
That's what I was thinking, because you're always focused around ifconfig. And now
Mm-hmm.
you just run the shrc etcrc script,
Mm-hmm.
and the normal netif rc.d service applies the configuration you injected into the jail.
Makes sense. Right. Yeah, for networking, this makes perfect sense.
And yeah, you can also support other rc.conf lines. sysrc also has a check mode,
Mm-hmm.
uppercase C, I think. I don't remember if it's upper or lowercase, to just check if a key value pair is set. Starting with FreeBSD 15, that also works for plus equals and minus equals, so that you can treat a key value pair as a set of tokens.
Oh, I forgot.
Uh,
SysRC stuff is not idempotent, right?
it is. If you assign it again, it's the same value again.
It won't
So
add new value, right? Like if I do this over and over again,
if
like
you do that again, it will just potentially overwrite. No,
just like
no, that's fine. You can run it multiple times. The last one sticks.
okay, last one six. Okay, makes sense.
So it's idempotent. If you use the same value for the same key, you don't change the SysRC, the rc.conf file.
Mm-hmm.
But Jan,
If
it
you want
doesn't
to be a
check if
bit more
there's anything to
fancy,
be done from an
uh,
idempotent perspective.
yeah, so you can also check with sysrc-c if something has to
Correct.
be changed to apply this, and you only write to it if something has to be changed. So you can even check if the configuration has already been done and then tell the user nothing has been done, and if the configuration has changed, maybe log that or something, like updating jail network configuration or something as a step in the log file or something. But yeah, that's up to you. However you want to do it.
So you got all that? You have your
Yeah,
notes?
somewhat.
Cool. Yeah, it's a lot of
Are we still
information.
recording?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so you can even rewatch my ramblings.
Cool. Anything
Oh
else?
yeah. Just one more thing,
Please.
like, does anybody have some documentation on where they set up what is it called? The jails with package base? That'll be really nice.
Both of us
Uh,
do.
the jail call minutes have, I think, the best collection of discoveries. I wouldn't call them documentation
Yeah.
because the documentation is really badly lacking. But we figured it out the hard way by dog shooting it, trying all of this.
I'm hoping to avoid that.
Yeah. Let me
Exactly,
give you a
both.
taste of it. I've scripted this in Citus separately just the other day for reasons. So yeah. Actually, no, let me send you to a GitHub link. Actually, fine. Are you done sharing your screen?
Yeah, I am.
I just realized we are staring at the same thing. What if we actually just stare at the same thing? Let's ta-da, ta-da. Okay, so get up actually. And Jan, I've been meaning to ask you a few things here. This should be up to date enough. I will put the link in chat. Chat went away. Thank you. Zoom. There's chat.
Please put it in the Signal chat so that I can easily get it afterward.
Oh,
Too.
that too. Yeah. Uh, I forgot your name. I'm joking. Okay, you have it. Okay, so I found that one, you need to install package, but either a bootstrap doesn't seem to be needed, but update seems to take care of it. I've had to break it up into a few steps of first doing update, then installing package, and then adding whatever packages we want. I have a variable sets for, say, some basic ones that you'll see above in the script there. And I'm pointing them into a different directory, and I'm crossing ABI barriers so I can create a 16 ARM64 system from like a 15 AMD 64 system. There could easily be mistakes here, but I believe this works and it's behaving quite cool. So, Jan, thank you for helping me get to this point, but naturally we've either diverged. You had a bunch of like stepping through the query syntax, which has its place, but I don't think it was needed for what I'm doing. And Jan, if your script is out there, maybe direct Hazen to it.
Yeah, let me show you something. I would grab the screen share for a
Yes, of
moment.
course. Pushing buttons.
Can you read my
Beautiful.
screen?
Yes, that's the most readable terminal I've seen in years. And it's colorful.
So what I wrote is this here. Let's just start it. So
And you've given a talk on the subject, if I'm not
yeah, this
mistaken.
works a bit differently than the stuff in Matter.
Okay.
We'll just resize it so that it doesn't wrap the lines so badly.
Hmm.
So now I'm downloading the FreeBSD packages.
Although I have a quick and dirty copy from the host cache if you know that's the same version and such, and you're doing it over and over and over while testing.
Oh, I'm only doing it once per patch level normally.
Lucky you.
And with that, now I have my own custom config, and now inside a jail, I can do. So I have this etcjail.conf. This jail.conf gives me a place to put server or site specific configuration, and then two places where I can have jail configuration files. So anything ending in .conf in this directory and in this directory is treated as something to be included. And if I have subdirectories ending in .d, which contain a file called jail.conf, those are also included. I use that to have my user local etc jail do the Postgres, for example, which then has a jail.conf, which sets the jail name and includes the Postgres configuration, which specifies a bunch of things. Some of those are still to be abstracted over. So I create a VNet jail with a virtual interface. And what I then do is I export a bunch of variables and then slurp in a script. So Hazam, that's fairly similar to what you are doing. Here's my prepare.sh script, which, for example, creates the jail datasets on first run. So maybe just let's glance over the main function of the shell script. I create the jail dataset. I create a file system to act as the root file system of the jail. And then I create a file system to act as VARDB Postgres.
Yeah.
And I create /dev, and then I clone the base repository as a ZFS clone.
So how about the heavy lifting of the package install? And
Getting to that.
you are okay. Awesome. Awesome. I guess the full context is good, but
yeah. So now this is the prepare phase for me. So Hazam, you're doing these steps within Slyve, so you don't have to do it from within the jail configuration anymore because you've already
Mhm.
done that.
Mhm.
This is something you're not yet doing, I assume, which is having downloaded the base repository and made a
Mhm.
local copy of that. I'm cloning that ZFS dataset into the jail. So now if I mount grab DGSQL, we can see that this jail exists. Its root directory is this dataset.
Mhm.
Its database exists in this dataset. And this is its base repository. So if we look here, it's just that. And it's a read-only clone, so it can't break it too badly. And if I want to have a new version of FreeBSD available, I just make that version of FreeBSD available by replacing the clone. Destroy the old, create a new clone, and it's done. So,
Right. My main reason for looking into this was the fact that
mhm,
I wanted to not have a base that is like 2 GB big.
mhm.
So this
So
would be
you
nice.
don't have to have such a giant base with package
Yeah,
base because we have these sets. So
yeah. Mhm.
if we look here, FreeBSD set, right? Jail, uh,
Minimal jail.
minimal jail. So this package pulls in the jail stuff. So tar tf. So ah, so this is a meta package. It depends on all of these packages, and it
Mhm.
gives you an about 100 or so megabyte jail, which is fairly usable.
Nice.
So it's already a subset. And then you have bigger subsets. The really massive parts are the toolchain, because just the debug symbols for the compiler are 600 megabytes. And another 600 or so megabytes for the base source code and so on. So just leaving the really big parts out gives you a complete feeling userland for a jail, which is a lot smaller.
And note the manual page I just put in the chat, FreeBSD base, which overviews the sets to some degree.
I'm wondering why there is no like base.txt that is minimal.
Hmm?
Like
Like a base.
historically,
Yeah, historically and even now, because now it's just simpler, right?
well, we have build options, and you can ask me about those on another day. That's what the parent project OccamBSD has always done, is take the build options and make a smaller system and base.txt and
So as you
do
can
the
see,
thing.
I have just 184 packages installed from the base system out of the 500. And so if we now do a yeah, my base system is a bit big because I put a lot of stuff in there over time during the example. So it's smaller than a full installation, but I think I put most of the big heavy hitters into this jail. But I could specify one which is a lot smaller.
Nice.
Jan, that reminds me of a question I have precisely for you. So, because I'm building ARM images on AMD 64, I want to retrieve the FreeBSD DTB device tree package on AMD 64. So at the moment, I'm creating a whole bunch of scaffolding and
Mhm.
package, etc. Is there a way to, and the same question would apply to source. Source is not platform specific yet. Package thinks everything is platform specific. Is there a way to force the installation of an ARM package that happens to be a directory of files that has absolutely nothing to do with the architecture on a different architecture?
I don't know. So yeah, as you can see, I have the compilers installed here. I just queried the jail for all packages, starting with FreeBSD. And then I wanted the name of a package and the installed size in human-friendly output, and then asked sort by the second column. And yeah, as you can see. And then I also have a bunch of big packages in there. So if I just did package-j, so now the jail is already a lot smaller, but it's still surprisingly big. Oh, it's all the dependencies because I installed so many packages for Postgres and all the Postgres packages for Postgres 17.
There you go.
Okay,
It's not base.
it's not in base, so yeah.
So are the source packages technically platform dependent, despite the fact that they are by definition platform independent?
The source packages, they're probably annotated as platform specific, but they aren't because it's the
That's
same
my
source
point.
code.
That seems like a
Let's just have a
tiny waste of
um,
resources.
that the packages for the sources are platforms, and they would be in the platform specific repository. So what's saving?
So is there a generic cross-platform repository?
No.
So you see my dilemma here?
Yeah, if
What a
we,
waste of resources, precious,
oh
precious
yeah,
resources.
six. What's the size of the FreeBSD package source? There's, come on, it's.
But nonetheless, it applies to any cross-platform package. It's like suddenly they're still platform specific despite not being
I
platform
don't
specific.
know if
Anyway,
we. I mean, we could have platform specific RT.T scripts and so on. So the runtime package and stuff like that. Yeah, anything
okay.
which includes a single library or executable is automatically be platform specific.
Hmm.
Anything which includes executable code.
Okay. Well,
And
right.
what
That's why
isn't
my directory
executable
of
code is
device
either
tree
source code or it
files.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, gang. Let's quit while we're ahead. Hazel, would you like the honors?
Like and subscribe.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Bye, guys.
Take care.